everybody, this is Jessi and welcome to my very first YouTube video. This is a 30-minute quick glam look to go out on the weekends with the fam just to hang out. So let's get started. The first thing I'm doing is an eyebrow. My main thing with eyebrows is I don't get them threaded, I don't get them arched. So I do my eyebrows from scratch every single day. So what I'm doing here is just simply applying a gel, and this just lays the eyebrows in place. Always remember to start at the root of the brow so that you can lay those hairs that don't like to be disciplined down. What I'm using here is a very fine eyebrow brush, and what I'm doing is, again, going over that layer where I've just laid the gel down. And then I'm going to get some pomade. What I'll do with the pomade is just outline the brow so that I can get the exact look of an arch that I would like to have. Never start with the pomade at the roots of the brow. Always start an inch or two back, so that way you leave the opening for the natural entrance of the brow. Give yourself a nice lift. Start low and bring it up high. You don't want to look surprised, but you do want to look like you have an arch. This step doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, we're going to go outline it with concealer, so just do the best that you can. Perfection is not needed in this particular step. You have to do the bottom and the top layer. Then you want to go back through and blend it in again. You want to get rid of any harsh lines to make sure that it looks as natural as possible. Simply blend them in. Again, this step does not have to be perfect. Now I'm going to come back to the center of the brow and create the fake illusion that this is where my natural brow starts at. So those brow lines that are undisciplined, I just go through and create those lines. Then I come back and blend once again. I like my brow to be extremely thick. Some people like their brows much thinner, which is fine, and we'll do a separate tutorial for that. Now I look crazy, but now I'm going to add the concealer, and this is kind of going to outline what I'd like the brow to look like. Again, this step does not need to be perfect, so make sure you just get as much as you can on the concealer and go underneath where you've just outlined. You can buy this at any beauty supply store for $2 or $3. You want to make sure you go a couple of shades lighter than your actual complexion, just so that it will highlight the brow. If you mess up, feel free to go back and clean up. These steps are great because it doesn't have to be perfect. Try it as many times as you want. Sometimes I do my brow and I hate them, and I take them off and do them again. If you don't have a lot of natural hair on your brows, this step is going to be a little bit longer because you're going to have to do more filling in. Because I don't get my brows arched or threaded, it leaves me a lot of natural hair to work with. You want to do the upper brow section just like you did the lower brow section. All you're doing is creating the illusion that your brows are arched. What I like to do is make mine one unibrow, and then I'll go through the middle and decide how I want them to be separated. I'm getting my Anthony Davis on right now. Now that you've created the unibrow, you want to go ahead and split the middle. Remember, brows are siblings, not twins. They don't have to be an exact replica of the other one. You want them to be similar, but they don't have to look the exact same. Natural brows will never look the exact same. I use my hand as a palette often. By the time I'm finished doing makeup, I have makeup all over the outside of my hand. So what I'm doing at this part is using my concealer to base for my eyeshadow. A lot of people use a primer here. I just take the concealer and bring it all the way down over the lid. I'm a big fan of my finger. I utilize my finger to blend more often than not. I have beauty blenders, brushes, but nothing does what my finger does. It's the temperature that your finger is from the natural heat that really gives you the smoothness that you like. So then I'm going up top and I'm just blending it out. You don't want any harsh lines on your face, so it's important to go back through and just blend. Again, this step doesn't have to be perfect because you'll cover all of this up. Now I'm going to take an eyebrow brush. This is my favorite eyebrow brush. It was actually given to me as a gift from my team at work, but it came from Walgreens if I'm not mistaken. So what I'm doing here is just taking a dark shadow to give the illusion of a corner smoky eye. So I usually put the dark shadow on first so that it will set the tone. This step doesn't have to be perfect because it will be covered up. So just get it on the corner of your lid and give yourself the illusion of a smoky eye. This is a day glam, so we're not gonna leave the lid super dark. We're just using it as a primer. Eyeshadow is probably one of the hardest things to learn when you're getting into makeup. So practice, practice, practice. I'm still practicing myself. I look crazy right now, so let's go ahead and move on to step 2. Next thing I'm gonna do is take a deep burgundy and apply it over top of the dark brown. Now what this is going to do is it's going to allow for a blend. I want the darkness of the corner to still be there, but I want to add light in order to make sure I don't look like I have an actual smoky eye. Smoky eye is mostly utilized for a night glam. Blending is the most important part of eyeshadow. You just want to make sure you get it as smooth as possible to make sure everything runs together. A lot of people use multiple eyeshadow brushes when they're doing it. Because this is my favorite brush, I pretty much use it for all my colors and just clean it as needed as I go. I've just cleaned off all of the excess shadow, so now I can blend the top without adding more shadow. I'm just simply removing any excess shadow off the brush and then blending upwards. I'm getting rid of any of those harsh lines that are left over, as well as making sure the primer or concealer underneath is well blended. The next thing I'm going to do is go with a lighter burgundy. It's more of a peach or a pink, and this is going to add a highlight. You want to make sure that at the corners of your eye, you always have the lightest color so that it will highlight or illuminate the eyelid. This also needs to be blended extremely well. So put the most of it at the corner and then start to blend out. You want to make sure it looks like a run-on and it doesn't look like you have multiple colors on, but that they're building or bridging into one another. This is my first video, so I don't have the right lighting, and I'll be getting a new ring light very soon. And of course, that'll make sure you guys are able to see what I'm doing accurately and you're able to see the colors more vividly. But for now, I hope you're enjoying so far. I also want you to take note of the skin complexion that I am. I have really bad splotches in the summertime. I'm technically allergic to the sun. So in the summertime, I am a mixture of caramel, chocolate, and a little bit of everything else. So I use about 3 or 4 different color foundations in order to blend them together to make the color that I am. I prefer matte poreless foundations. And again, I always use my hand to mix them together. I'm looking at the dark tone. That's not it. So now I'm gonna add some lighter tones to blend with it to try to make the color that I truly am. Hopefully your skin is more or less 3 or 4 tone than mine, and you can use one foundation. But should it not be, those poreless matte foundations mix well together. Now I'm going to take my foundation brush. I'm going to blend the colors together first on my hand, and then I'm going to put the foundation on my face. I've already washed, moisturized, and primed my face prior to this video. It's important to note that I don't like a huge layer of foundation on my face. I prefer a very thin layer. I don't struggle with acne, so I'm not trying to cover up any unwanted bumps. I'm just trying to even my skin tones out. A lot of people use color correctors. I personally don't prefer them. I feel like if anything, it makes it more of a challenge to blend. I prefer to go a little bit darker with my foundation because I will highlight and contour. So I'll make my foundation the darkest of my skin tones because of the splotches. I don't really like the color that's coming out so far, so I'm going to add a little bit of a lighter tone to try to bring it out and make it more of my complexion. You definitely don't want to walk around looking like you have black face, but you don't want to go too light either. It's a perfect blend that you're looking for. So keep going and switching and swatching until you find it. I like that color much better. It's pulling out my natural tones. So I'm going to add it to both sides, and then I'm going to make sure I go over my forehead to give it an even look from top to bottom. Remember, there's no right or wrong when you're looking for foundation, so just keep trying. I prefer to use my foundation brush for blending. Some people actually start with their beauty blender here and utilize their beauty blender for their foundation step. I utilize my beauty blender for my concealer or my highlight and contour, but I don't use it for my foundation step. You just kind of figure out what works for you. For this look, I'm actually going to do a high bun, so I definitely want to make sure that my edges show clearly the makeup blending. I don't want to leave a ring around my edges to show that there is where the makeup stops and starts. So I always go into my hair just a little bit, and then when I gel it down, it'll be fine. I still look a tad bit darker than my actual complexion, but once I highlight and contour, I think I'll still like the effect. Remember, it's also bad lighting in this video because I haven't got my ring light, so I apologize again, but very soon we'll be ready for action. Now I'm gonna look at my beauty blender. This is probably my favorite tool of all makeup tools, simply because it's one of those things it's a go-to. You have to use it while wet. It's imperative. It doesn't work at all when it's dry. So I usually take a bowl and dip it in the bowl as many times as I can, and then you have to drench it out really well. You don't want it to be overly saturated with water, but you do want to make sure it has just enough that it does what you need it to do. What do you need it to do? You need it to blend the concealer. That's the main thing. You want to take away those harsh lines and make everything look well-rounded and blended together. Next thing we're going to start with is a highlight. So again, we're going to use some beauty store concealer. No makeup I have is over $10. I just simply believe in not spending a whole lot of money on makeup. This Pro Concealer here is about 3 to 4 shades lighter than my actual complexion. I'm going to use it for my under eye highlight, in the middle of my forehead, at the bottom of my chin, and right down the bridge of my nose. You just want to make sure that when you're putting this on, you put on a thick layer. Because it's on top of the foundation that's obviously not the same color, it'll blend itself in, so don't feel like you're putting too much. Put enough that you don't see the foundation through it. What you want to do is make sure you're getting under your eyes all the way out to the bottom of your nose. This is where you're going to start your highlight and contour. Foundation is the first stage after shadow. The next stage is the highlight. What the highlight does is it gives you the illusion that you don't have any under eye bags, and it also makes your face look slimmer. If you're like me and your face is chunky, you're definitely going to want to use a contour and highlight. Some people don't like the way contour makes them look different. I feel like with makeup, it's whatever I want. Some days I'll highlight and some days I won't. So it's about the look that you're going for at that point in your life. Always go right up to where you stopped your eyeshadow and come all the way out to your ear. Then you want to get your forehead. And this is just to make sure everything blends in well. Come all the way down the middle of your nose. This is just to give your nose a thinner look. It doesn't have to be perfect. All of this will be blended together. So just kind of get your feet wet. Do the best you can. What in the world do I look like? Can you imagine walking outside with this look on your face? I've seen so many people share videos where people are in this stage of their makeup and say, oh, I don't want to be with someone who does all of that. But Beyonce does, Rihanna does, everyone does all of that with their makeup. So don't feel uncomfortable. Don't feel like you're doing too much. Just do whatever you like. Whatever makes you feel good about yourself, that's what you should do. So now I'm going to do a contour. So with the contour, I'm going to add a darker shade underneath where I added the lighter shade. This is going to give the illusion that my face is thinner, right below the cheekbones. I'm also going to go around the outside of my forehead. First, I'm putting on the darkest color. And then I'll come behind and add a color that is darker than my highlight, but lighter than the contour. You want to make sure you bring it up from an angle. And you also want to do it on your nose. Again, this makes the illusion that your nose is slimmer. You may not like the way that you look when you look in the mirror here, but you'll like the finished effect. Just keep going. Again, I'm adding that lighter color that's darker than my highlight, but lighter than my contour around my forehead. I'm also going to add it to my nose so that when I blend downward, everything looks natural. So my beauty blender's been sitting over there in the water. I squeezed it out pretty good. Now I'm going to start tapping at it in order to blend it out. It's so imperative that you do not rub with the beauty blender. It never works well. You want to just simply tap, tap, tap until everything looks blended. Just tap it all the way out. I promise you'll love the look. Blend all of your lighter areas first before you start your darker areas. Be very careful underneath your eye, as you don't want to mess up your shadow and you don't want to get any of the concealer into your actual eye. So take your time when you're going near your eye. Now I'm going to use the bottom part of my beauty blender to contour. I'm going to do the same patting action that I've done, and I'm going to go up, 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 down, 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 up, 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 down, down, down. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Then I'll come up around the outer areas of my forehead and also do the same blending action. Then I'm going to come around my nose and do the same thing. I want to make sure everything is going to blend extremely well once I get my brush out. When I look at myself right now, I can't imagine I'm going to love the look, but I know I will. I'm going to clean off my beauty blender some in order to make sure that I can blend a little bit better. I've dipped it in the water, squeezed it back out, and then I'm just going back around my highlighted areas. Remember, I'm using the top section for my highlight and the bottom section for my contour. Again, the lighting on this video is not amazing, so you can't really see the details, but it's not completely blended yet. This is my favorite brush. I got it from Ulta a long time ago. As you can see, the top part has broken off, but it's my baby. I cannot trade it in. I use it for blending. I simply come back over everything and just blend it in rapid motion. I don't worry about anything. I just use it all over my entire face. It does a very, very nice blending action. You want to make sure you get everything as well blended as you possibly can. Again, there are my fingers again. I want to make sure under my eyes is blended as well. The lighting is really bad, but the good thing is it does show you all of my imperfections. And so I'm coming back and cleaning up those areas where I feel like it's not blended perfectly. I'm definitely not a professional makeup artist, so I'm definitely practicing. I'm just giving you the pointers that I already have. Now that I've blended out as much as I feel necessary in order to start my next step, I'm going to use my Black Radiance True Complexion. This palette is about $6.99 at Walgreens or CVS, and I'm going to use it to enhance the contour. So I'm going to take the medium brown and go right underneath where I contoured in order to enhance that area and bring out those dark lines. So I'm going to bring it all the way from the ends of my edges down to the contour line below my cheek. And then I'm going to turn and do it on the other side and on the sides of my nose. Blend it really well so that once you start with your blush, everything looks very cohesive. There's those fingers again. I can't get away from them. No matter how many brushes I have, I love the warmth of my finger. Now I'm going to get my blush brush. The blush color that I'm going to use here is more of a rose tone. The lighting isn't going to show it as well, but it's very rosy, peachy. and that's in order to give myself a natural pop of color. Some people strictly highlight here with golds or coppers, but I always like to add a blush first. For me, blush looks the best right at my cheekbone. This is more dependent on the way that your face is. I'm going to blend it extremely well because I'm still going to add a highlight here. The blush is simply a pop of color. Now I'm going to take that blender again and go back over everything before I add my highlight. I just want to make sure that the blush and the contour blend extremely well together. I don't want any harsh lines once I'm all done. The next thing I have is my highlight brush. I love this brush. It comes in a set. It actually came from Target. It comes in a set for about $13. It's the best highlight brush I've ever had. And then I'm going to use my Master Chrome highlighter. This also came from Target, and the gold looks extremely good with my skin tone. So I'm just going to take a nice swipe to show exactly where I want to highlight. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I also want to do the top or middle of my forehead and the chin area. And I want to do right down the middle of my nose. I prefer again my finger for that part. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to go back and blend. So now I'm going to blend those areas in. I want to make sure that the highlight blends into the blush. You can bring it up a little bit around your forehead. It won't be an issue to do that. Blend it as awesomely as you can. You just want to make sure you just rub with that brush in a circular motion. And then of course, here I am back with that finger again. Then I'm going to take my other two fingers in order to blend it together. With my nose, I find that my finger works the best. I'm blending out the chrome because it can be extremely bright. Of course, you can't see it as well because of the lighting, but I want to make sure that the tone is blended with my foundation. There's my old faithful again. Brought it back out to blend everything all together. The next thing I want to do is line my eye. Lining my eye is probably the most difficult part of makeup for me. The lining of the eye is a challenge, especially if you're someone like me who's a double, triple blinker. The main thing is to hold your eye closed and spread your lid out so you can see it as best as you can. What I've learned is the eyeline doesn't have to be perfect. I used to do it over and over again until it became so thick because I thought it had to be perfect. But what I learned is there's beauty in imperfection, so do the best that you can. I usually start right at the middle and then come back over at the end and come back through. Closest to the eye, you want the line to be the thinnest. The further you get away from the corner of the inside of the eye, the thicker you want the line to be. That's a tip I always try to remember. But like I said, do whatever you like best. There's no perfect way to do a line. If you notice, mine still isn't perfect. And at some point, I just become okay with it and move to the next eye. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. Struggle. I'm pulling my eyelid like that just because it makes it a smoother one when I'm going across it. A lot of times I do my eyeliner before I do my makeup just so my finger doesn't smudge it. But for this particular look, I decided to do the liner last. Again, you can see it's not perfect. I'm going to come back over it one more time and then I'm going to say, okay, whatever. Some people think you wear makeup because you don't love you. But the truth is it's an art form and you learn to love it the way that you do it. That's probably my hubby interrupting me during the video. Now I'm going to put some mascara on. This came directly from the beauty supply store, $3.99. I told you I do not spend a lot of money on makeup. I don't spend more than $10 on any item. The key to mascara is to start at the bottom and bring it all the way up, and then to get the top of the lashes to make them look long as possible. A lot of times I will add a lash. For this particular 30-minute glam, I won't add a lash. But for a lot of my videos, you'll notice I'll put on a strip lash. I don't do individual lashes, but I love them, so sometimes I'll go and get them done. And then that'll save me that step in the video. But strip lashes is something that people love. The reason I don't do strip lashes all the time is because when I put them on, I tend to use hair glue because it works better for me. And as you know, hair glue is not supposed to be by your eyes, so I try to do it as less as possible. Whenever I do my bottom lash, I always get it on my skin. So again, there's that finger going to clean it up. Now I'm just going to do the same thing on the other eye, just to give myself a look that my eyelashes are a little bit longer than they are. Wearing strip lashes pulls your lashes out really bad, so I don't recommend wearing strip lashes often. I do wear them, like I said, but not all the time. Make sure you get the corner lash. Both corners matter. Corner lives matter. Bottom lashes matter also. They're just difficult to get. Go back over your mascara as many times as you want until it looks exactly how you want. And then at some point you'll say, whatever. The next thing I'm going to move on to is my lip. I always pretty much always do ombre. But what I'm going to do before the lip is just spray on some setting spray, and that's just to make sure that my makeup sets and it doesn't come off throughout the day. I usually spray a whole rain shower full, and then I blow it dry with whatever is closest to me. Eyeshadow, my black radiance, whatever it is, I blow it dry. And then I'm actually gonna move to the lip. Can't forget to set it. If you forget to set it, if you do your makeup at 8 o'clock and you forget to set it by 12 noon, it's gone. All right, for the ombre, the key is that you want to do a darker outline. So I'm actually using my dark concealer here to do a darker outline. What I found with makeup products, that nothing is specifically for anything. You can use whatever you want for whatever part of your face you like. A lot of people would never use concealer on that lip. I do it all the time. So again, I'm doing that dark concealer on the outside of my lip. And then to give the ombre effect, I'm going to put a light color in the inside. And then when I rub them together, I'm not going to blend it. That's what gives you the look of the ombre. I'm mixing colors here. That's why it's taking me a few seconds. I'm going to add a really light color to give it that pop. Okay, now I want to change my shirt just so I could get out of that ugly t-shirt. Just put on something that I could go out in for the day. I always have a pack of $1.99 earrings on hand so that you can throw them on with any outfit. The thing I love about color is it doesn't matter. Nowadays, we just throw on color with anything. So I'm going to use a pink and gold earring today. I feel like earrings are the keys to beauty. When I don't wear my earrings, I literally feel like I look like a boy. I'm a huge wig person, so in my future videos, you'll see me wear lots of different wigs. But for today, I just want to do a high bun. Something really simple. I'm just going out with the hubby and kids, nothing extreme. Who can live life without black gel? Black gel has been a staple in black families since 1905. So I'm gonna now use my hands for the back because I just feel like I need to make sure it's blended as best as possible. The higher my bun is, the more gel I use in order to try to keep it as much as possible. I'm going to use my same makeup water and just dip my brush because it works better when it's wet with the gel. And again, I'm just going to brush it back. I'm not too worried about my edges. I'll come back and do those separately. I'm just kind of brushing it back to give it that slick look that I'm going for. My hair is not permed, so it's not going to lay as easy as someone who has permed hair. I'm going to gel it, slick it as best as I can. Now I have gel all over my hands and my nails, so a good wash is going to be required. Just setting that bun up high. I prefer my bun as high as I can get it. I mean, I think a high bun is just always a cute look for on the go. Doesn't require much attention, just a quick boom, boom, pow. Can you really go wrong with a high bun? Now I'm going to get those edges because those edges don't look good. So I have a widow's peak that I hate, so I often shave it, but it's grown back today. So those edges getting tamed is going to be a must. I add some extra gel around the edges so that they'll lay. No, I am not creating baby hair, so please don't think I am. I do not understand why that is a fad right now, but no. I am going to give myself some swivels just so my hair doesn't look so straight. But baby hair, I am not. Yeah, just simply giving me a little swerve here and there so that my hair doesn't look so. And let's be real, if I leave my hair like this and walk away, I'm not going to get this slick look. I have to take out my handy dandy scarf and tie this hair down. It'll take about 10 minutes. Look at the gel everywhere. I'm definitely going to have to go wash after I put the scarf on. Tie the scarf really well, but make sure you don't tie it onto your makeup. As you can see, I've done that many times before, but the only thing about it is then you have to go back and touch up your edges. So try to start it right at the hairline. I'll let my hair sit about 10 minutes and then I'll take my scarf off and we'll be able to see my finished look. Please make sure you like me on Facebook, Instagram, Beat by Jessi. Again, that's Beat by Jessi on Instagram and Facebook. Like, share, comment. Thanks, guys.